is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at dorothylanemusic.com. Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. This is your host, Ruel Abadam. What's going on? What's cooking? What's stinking? Oh gosh. Yeah, hope everybody's doing well. Let me say that again. I hope everybody is doing well, because I think I'm doing okay and trying my best. You know, every now and then I think about, why is life the way it is? And sometimes I wonder, did I just not apply myself when I was in school, you know, growing up? Should I have paid attention to things that I didn't, you know? And I think, like, when I come across a really challenging sort of life moment, is it a result of my not paying attention when I was growing up? And then the other side of me says, what the heck, who cares? Because you can only control so much. And if I were to look back, do I look back thinking that, man, I really should have taken more math classes? Man, I should have taken more, I don't know, what the heck do you call those advanced classes, or those honors classes, you know? Do I look back and think, man, I shouldn't have had that six-pack of beer with my friends, or man, I shouldn't have gone to that party and really had a great time hanging with everybody at that party? No. So, you make the best of things. I think especially when you're young, depending on your household, there are things that you're going to want to pay attention to, and there are things that you wish you could afford to just not even witness, So everybody comes from a different place, everybody comes from a different space, and everyone, I think, essentially manages as best as they can through growing up, through life, and the opportunities they have are the opportunities they have. And I raise my own kids thinking that I'm going to do my best to expose them to the cool things that I did, and they're going to think about it and think again and say, yeah, that's not cool, Dad. That's not cool at all. And then one day they're going to get old themselves, and they're going to look at the really, really old me and think, I should have paid attention. Man, you had really something there that I didn't really understand, Dad. What am I talking about? I'm talking about everything. Everything. So, before I carry on, if you were a new listener, you're thinking, what kind of podcast is this? This is nothing like I've heard before, and there is nothing else you'll hear like this ever again. Maybe except the episode before it, and the ones before it, and the ones before it, and the one before it, and the one before it. You know what I mean? If you are a return listener, you know what? I really, 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 really appreciate the Lonnie Beachams of the world, the Jackie Jones of the world, the poor dog barking, the many friends I've made along this podcast experiment of mine. Daniel Weston, what's up? And I know, Daniel, that you were wondering when the next episode of The Ultra Diner is going to pop up. But, it'll pop up when it pops up, my man. And, thanks for looking out. It's just, a lot of things that need to be aligned as far as schedules and things. And we'll make it happen. What else? What's up, Ted Nakamura? My friend who surprises me every time he brings up this podcast that he's listened. Oh my gosh. So anyways, I'm out and about. Guess what? I gotta do a bacon run. I just realized that I don't have any bacon for tomorrow, and that is unacceptable. That is not acceptable. You gotta get some bacon. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna buy some light bulbs. Can't cook bacon in the dark. Or we could. So anyways, backtracking. What am I talking about? Cool things, not so cool things. Things that kids are not going to realize that really could be cool, but they won't realize till later. Like right now, I'm really interested in getting the kids, a little sort of base training for some basic boxing, and then try to graduate them into doing some really cool drills. I think it's a great life skill to know how to box. What to do with your hands, and how to maneuver your body, awareness, timing, all that good stuff. Not saying I want my kids to go out and punch the heck out of people, but should they be in a situation where they have to exercise those abilities to keep themselves away from harm, or whatever, why not? I wish my dad taught me how to box. I wish he taught me how to, do that type of stuff. But no, he taught me how to sharpen a blade and shoot, sharp arrow-tipped arrows, bow and arrow type stuff. He taught me how to light trash on fire. Because back in the day, that was one way to dispose of your garbage, but anyways, so yeah, here I am, and I'm still sort of at the tail, it's not a trimester, but I'm in the back half of the summer, and it's been really challenging, being what I describe as summer daddy day camp. It's, if folks think that working from home is a great thing, try doing it during the summer when you have a bunch of little kids. It becomes a real tough opportunity for you to really be creative with managing your time and your parenting and your job. It could be done. It's sort of like, when people talk about, wow, I want to earn that passive income. I'm just going to sit and do nothing and make money while I do nothing. Working from home it's working from a home, from a household. You're parenting from home. You're everything. It's really work. And, the passive income stuff, I think it's BS. You really got to put a lot of work into it up front for it to actually generate anything, but even at that, you're still having to hustle, you're still having to grind, you're still having to do work. So work from home doesn't mean that you're just waiting for your computer tone to signal that you've got a Slack message or an instant message or an email. You're managing your time, you're sitting in on meetings remotely, you're answering questions, you're helping your colleagues, you're getting stuff done, and, do that, and prep lunches, that type of stuff, and do your job and make sure that the kids are, getting their required level of reading, during the summer so that they don't just kind of sit in front of a TV or in front of an iPad. You know what I'm saying? Parenting and working a full-time job and, all that stuff. So it's tough, man. And I hope that, I have friends who listen to the podcast who have kids that are all grown now, and they can still remember how tough it was. And so I'm smack dab in that period, the tough period with the little ones. But they do say they miss it when their kids were that young, or this young, as mine are. And I get it, Take it, leave it to Facebook to give you those memories back. Several years on Facebook, like a lot of you guys are, and man, I saw one today of my middle son. He must have been less than 1, and he was playing, and just watching him when he was that young on video. I was like, dude, check you out. This is when you were a baby. And he was just watching and staring at the screen, and got to the end, and we all started giggling and laughing because it was so cute. Speaking of boxing, a weekend ago or so, the family went to a skating, what do you call it? Skating rink. Rink. What a weird word. Rink. Did you head over to the rink? We were at the rink. We didn't see you at the rink, bro. We were rinking it up. Yeah, you were at a skate place. Damn it. And so it's like, it's a throwback. It's, it takes you back in time. The place has kind of got that vibe of, I don't know, 80s, 70s, right? And you got the guys on skates who are kind of like the instructors or the more experienced, and they're just like super smooth on skates, just kind of gracefully moving, and not just moving in winding or on the floor, but they've got like the nice flowing arm movements that go along with it. Anyways, so there's a small set of customers that are there along with us, different families and stuff. And there's a guy who helps run the place. He does a presentation. He does a speech to the parents about, some of you come in here with basically cheap skates you buy at a toy store, right? They're like plastic wheels, and they're not appropriate for skating here, and why they discourage the use of those skates, and why the skates that are provided at the skate place is more appropriate and safer and quality. And then he proceeds to talk about having a program where if you pay for X number of skate sessions, maybe even lessons, they're going to throw in some quality skates for the child. And that's nice, to get that sort of insight about what's good out there and what's decent and what's like high quality. And anyways, after the whole presentation, I was chatting with the guy, and he's like, hey man, he walked in, and these other customers, they were like there's a whole Indian crowd of customers, nothing wrong with it. What are you saying? It had to just paint the picture. Had nothing to do with it. Maybe it did. I don't know. But they're like, they came up to me and were like, hey, is that Manny Pacquiao? They're talking about me. They mistook me for the famous Manny Pacquiao. And then I was like, huh, that's kind of, what's up with that? Then I ended up going to the bathroom at some point, and I had to look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, what makes me look like Manny Pacquiao? Guys, do I look like Manny Pacquiao? I had like a little bit of like hat hair going, and I had a I was unshaven, and maybe there was some way I carried myself that I looked like a pretty beat up Manny Pacquiao.
Do you need a website? If you're an individual, a consultant, a group, or small business and need a site, or maybe you have an existing site, I can help. How about graphic design? Do you need a design for a t-shirt, logo, product, business cards? Maybe you need help with designing and developing a brand. I'm not an expert, but I do have the tools and the techniques to get the job done. How about a podcast? Yep, like this thing. This thing's a silly little show. Are you looking to set up a podcast of your own? Are you looking to reach an audience? Promote your business via podcast? Well, Abadam Studios. That's right, Abadam Studios. Yeah, so that's Abadam Studios. AbadamStudios.com, AbadamStudios.com. Check it out.
So hey guys, I'm back. It's believe it or not, it's the magic of podcasting. It's a different day. I was talking about looking like Manny Pacquiao in a bowling alley one day, and then suddenly, poof, it's a different day, and I'm carrying right back where I left off. I guess, not really. So, how are you guys doing? I've been thinking about running again. It's been a while. And it's kind of like, what are you talking about? Well, I don't know when this episode is going to go out, but it had been over a month when I released my 2019 Eloni 50K episodes. Right? So, yeah, I think, what was it? We were in spring when I ran that thing, and then I released it in the summer. So, very timely stuff. Yeah. So, what I wanted to say is, hopefully I can get myself together and organize, get things back on track. And by the time this episode releases, it would have made sense. But I suppose what I'm about to say, I could phrase it in such a way that I'm not going to sort of entirely backdate or date the episode. So what I'm talking about is Fat, a documentary. I can't remember ever having talked about it because I've just been so busy to even get episodes out on time. But now's the time, right? The film by Vinnie Tortorich and director Peter Pardini and producer Serena Scott Thomas. The film Fat, a documentary is it's done. It's done, and it's available currently as of this recording for pre-sale. So you can go to iTunes, you can go to the movies section, you can do a search for Fat, a documentary, and you'll see the films there. You can purchase it. Depending on when you see it, it'll either be for pre-sale or you could just buy it. And that's not the only place where you can get the film. You can get it on Blu-ray. You can go to Amazon. You can buy this thing on Amazon. You can order it and buy it. A gazillion copies. You could go to a Vimeo and you can search for it and you can purchase it there for streaming and whatever. So there's a lot of ways that you can get it, and you need to get it. If you are a fan of NSNG, no sugar, no grains. If you are a fan of the low carb way of eating and high healthy fat way of eating, and if you are a fan of ketogenic diets, and if you are not a fan of the standard nutritional guidelines in this country, and if you are not a fan of metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, if you're not a fan of high blood pressure and all that stuff and whatever else ails you, then you could stand to benefit from watching this film. Your friends can stand to benefit from you sharing it with them, so that everyone can make the paradigm shift happen, because it's going to happen. Whether or not you're going to be, riding it is up to you, but it's going to happen, right? So yeah, Fat, a documentary. So if you're hearing like rattling in the background, that's my daughter. She's playing with some sort of battery operated, it looks like a little moped toy with a little figure on it. Yeah, so that's that. Fat a Documentary. You can go to fatdocumentary.com, see it there. A year ago, a little over a year ago, the fundraising for the making of the film kicked off, and I'm pretty sure that I talked about it in the past episodes. And I can't believe the year has flown by, and it's an incredible accomplishment for Vinny, Serena, and Peter, and everyone else on the team who pushed for and encouraged funding. And yeah, man, it's a done deal. It's just now getting to see it and in all its glory. It's there's a handful of people that have already seen it. Vinny and his team they're making appearances in things like KetoCon and low carb other low carb conferences, and he's taking the time to show a clip, like an 18-minute version of the film, and it's getting good responses. It's creating some good traction. So do that, and you'll be glad you did. Why am I laughing? I don't know why I'm laughing. Let's see. I need to make a quick stop. I'm on the road again with my girl, and need to head over to Whole Foods and buy some whole food. No, I'm going to do a non-NSNG activity. It's all business, and yeah, it's kind of like a conflict of principles and beliefs and all that, but that's just me. I'm a one big contradiction. It takes time, dedication, and magic and strength. Did I say strength already? To bake for a business and not be tempted to indulge in the baked goods. But I guess we're talking NSNG, right? What happens is, if folks are familiar with it but have not really gone head first into the lifestyle, what you find out is, as you relinquish control of sugar in your life, then cravings don't happen, right? Well, you don't relinquish. You really have to battle, right? Depending on how deep you are in its clutches, sodas and candy and baked goods and pastries, which is baked goods, sugary sauces and and sugary drinks, mixed drinks and stuff. Once you can get off of that stuff, and the longer you're off of it, the easier it is. Once you're off of that stuff, you can start to get a handle on your hormones that cause cravings. I mean, it's not just sugary stuff, right? It's what you don't even consider as a sugary thing, which are grains, are like wheat, right? Wheat products. It's going to do its own kind of dark magic in your brain and your gut, and have a bagel, and guess what's going to happen? A couple hours, 3 hours later, you're like, I'm hungry again. And suddenly you start thinking about eating stuff that, like, wait a minute, suddenly I just want to eat an upside down cake. I haven't ever had an upside down cake, but so, it's the dark magic, I tell you, the dark magic of the grain. So stay away from that. Stay away from a lot of the sweet, sugary stuff, and, I've talked about it so many times, and I kind of don't want to talk about it anymore, but, I might as well, since, I sort of claim to be an example of somebody who lives on an NSNG lifestyle. So I might as well talk about it, even though I feel like I'm a broken record when I do. But even the things that we've been taught in the past, several years, that fruit's great for you, but guess what? There's some fruit that you can stand to benefit from, and there's a whole lot of other fruit you can stand to stay away from because they're just high in sugar. It's just a fact, Jack. Awesome, guys. That's it for now. Remember, eat something delicious, hug your friends, hug your family, and go run something. Ta-ta.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.